is going to take the lead. Starting to the top left of the map is the FXO player. He is ready and good to go up against the Terran. This is
FXO here.
And so far, just making his pylon in his main base. He may just play a straight up game here. It's not what he's known for, but it's entirely possible.
To the bottom right, we have his opponent. Beating Lucky, he is now up against the Protoss player, he's up against Tier, the Fnatic Terran.
Fnatic Radical, alive!
Alive, just such a well-respected player in Korea. Former TSL player like Rain, actually. And this map is pretty big. I've said in the past oftentimes that I really like it because of the way that the ramps can help a player who has better map awareness really control the way engagements go. And in this matchup especially, you know, maybe ZVZ a little bit more so, but in this matchup, if you are at the top of the ramp, your storms become so good or so bad. If, for example, your Terran opponent's at the top of the ramp, you don't have vision, you need to approach that army somehow.
It's actually the map that we called jokingly Mirrorheim at first, because in the first 4 or 5 games that we've seen here, we only had mirror matches, most of them PvPs.
And a lockout here with the depot. He left it a little bit soon there, but now he's just going to transfer like that. He does not know that no gas has been taken, so he's going to have to play a little bit more cautiously as a result.
Yeah, it's always a little bit annoying to the Protoss player if he can't sneak a probe into the main base of the Terran. He doesn't really know what's going on, if there's a 1-base play, 2-base play, if there's gas being taken, or just a standard expansion. And as you can already see in the production tab, Alive didn't build a refinery. So he's not mining gas at all. He will go for an expansion. The Marine is just trying to check if there's a probe hidden somewhere before he actually drops the command center.
Yep, and there it is.
This position, by the way, that the Marine just scouted below the main base is one where a lot of Zerg players will start for nighting.
Yes, and it's also a place where cannons were used in a PvP match.
You can hide a lot.
By the way,
Talking about hiding.
Yeah, there's a huge proxy going on right now. I mean, it's the same size as a normal proxy, but what this means could be huge. And it may actually just be hidden
forward pylon, yeah.
It just could be for drops later on. A lot of Protoss have started to do this with their faster third pylon. In a weird location, it has a lot of different things that you can do with this. For example, when the SCV comes in your base, he doesn't see a third pylon there. He may think, oh, you're proxying a Stargate or something like that, but he's just going to do a 1-gate expand with this pylon that allows him warp-ins, allows him scouting of drop ships. It's a great third pylon to move.
And at the same time, Alive follows everything that he does up with double barracks. So we see him with the gas a little bit late here. 20 harvesters as we speak. And on this map, of course, once again, as soon as the channel player is in a position where he has the first medivacs on the map, he can be aggressive, he can put a little pressure on. If he doesn't go for a keen style when he tries to sneak around your opponent's, well, Zelnagatos, for example, which is a little bit tricky on this map.
Piece of me, boy.
You're absolutely right. But with the SCV, I actually see that he went Robo before the 2 gates. It looks like he will.
I mean, Robo first is also a bit of a reaction of Tier to what Alive did in the early game, and just making sure that this SCV was not, the probe was not able to get into the main base. He wants to know what's going on.
This is a really interesting situation. I like when, for example, the SCV just waltzes in, because the Protoss is looking everywhere for it, but just unfortunately does not find it, and the SCV is like, well, coming in. It's just a very fortunate situation for Alive, who, by the way, is doing something a little bit keeny with those Marines. He's got the watchtower right now, but he loses it at the most critical time. Now he has to take the other side, and he'll be spotted by the probe, actually, that's going around the right side, just to make sure this does not occur. Great scouting information so far by Tier. Alive actually is going to be going the long way around.
Those Marines are on a cruise. That will take ages.
That's a pilgrimage, man. Yeah, when they get there, they're really hoping they're not going to actually have to fight because they're going to be really tired.
We have 4 gates in total. The pylon at the left side of the map was not scouted. Doesn't know about it. Those Marines are still on their journey to the expansion. Dodging the vision of the Xel'Naga watchtower. Yes, the pylon been spotted.
He spots it with a Marine he's sent all around the map. This is so important because there could be so many different things coming out of the pylon. He can also just go and kill it for free anytime he wants to supply block his opponent and eliminate that vision. There's too many sentries here. He will actually not only probably kill nothing, but he will lose all the Marines if he reacts. Oh, wow.
If he reacts
too. Just barely saves it.
And you're right, if he reacts, so far he didn't, a little bit late. The Stalkers are on the move. They of course don't want to engage here. They don't know how many Marines there actually are. And now a pylon on the low ground, and he can just warp into the main base. The Observer is there. The 4 gates are ready.
Yeah, this is actually a very aggressive style that we're seeing. He's going to lose a Stalker here as well. Wow, that is a lot of damage done with that small group of Marines. Now this pylon, like you said, he can just warp in here, but with the reinforcing units at home, that's not going to be too effective. I think he's just going to wait to do backstabs. Whenever he sees a Terran army move out, that is when he's going to go for the attack.
Without a problem, he could warp 2 rounds of warp-ins there. And now we have bunkers at the front, but that won't help him against the warp-in into the main base. And this, I'm a bit, actually, it's so weird to me that we don't see a depot over there.
Yeah, it's really, really risky. And here come the first warp-ins. He's warping in 4 Zealots. He's attacking at the front at the same time. He's going to stop when he sees the bunkers. The Zealots actually are going to face only 5 Marines. He's going to have no problem with that.
He's getting right into the mineral line, taking down the SCV. His whole position has been used for a second. Now here we are, engaging and taking down Harvesters. And now at the same time, of course, also these units at the front are always ready to poke.
And a Dark Shrine goes down. If the pylon is not dealt with to the north, which still has not been spotted by any structure of Alive, DTs will be the next step, and they're going to be a big problem possibly. He's also getting that robotic support bay tech, so he's got both tech trees available. The only problem for him, though, that this makes is that Alive already has 1-1. He's got no forges in play, and eventually Alive's upgrades are just going to become a big problem. Oh, and not only does he show the Observer, now he's going to see the pylon as well.
Takes down the Observer, kills the pylon. 4th base is building now. But here we have, sorry, the 3rd base, that's not the 4th. Yeah, the base is building, and here comes Tier once again trying to move in, but he still has to deal with those bunkers. Yes, he's able to take down the Marine, but the Marauder escapes. Trying to get another pylon into the picture, but definitely a situation where he could not do as much damage as he was hoping for.
Yeah, not a ton done, but Alive spots the SCV. I mean, sorry, he spots the Nexus with his SCV up at the north as well, so he knows what's going on. He's got all the information here.
And just to give you a small idea about how many Harvesters were killed earlier, 11 in total were taken down by Tier. But with the 3 orbitals available, Fnatic Alive could just rebuild those SCVs in a very short amount of time. So now they are on the same amount of Harvesters, and of course the extra mules for Alive give him a bit of an edge when he comes down to the mules.
And now the Stalkers know that Alive knows about the Nexus. He's got a probe in place to remake that pylon. He hasn't done it yet. Now he's doing it.
That's really DT on hold position.
He's got that sneaky little DT. He may decide to assassinate those Marines if he wants to. He can. But if this pylon actually goes on squad, he found it. I don't think you guys saw it on screen, but he tried to make another pylon to warp into the main. DT is so far not very useful.
Yeah, not at all. He didn't do damage with them. He has 2 now. And at this point of time, Alive is trying to get his 3rd base into position.
The upgrades are actually very swiftly catching up for the Protoss though with the Chrono Boost.
Also, of course, a result of Alive not taking the 2nd wave of upgrades.
Oh wow, the DTs actually somehow, someway sneak in.
Uh-oh, that's tricky. Now they're on the base.
Only 1 scan available. The other orbital has a scan, but it's not landed right now.
It's the first one he escapes.
Oh, and he totally botches it. Yeah, he gets away with that DT. Now there's a problem in the main base, and oh, Alive could lose so much here. He needs to land that orbital to get another scan. He's making turrets.
The DT needs... He takes down a few Harvesters and takes down...
But the upgrades are a problem because he doesn't have +1 yet.
Yeah. He needs 2 hits to take down 1 SCV. Now +1 is nearly done. Missile turrets, of course, built everywhere. And at the natural, there is still 1 DT doing a lot of damage. And now that the upgrade is done, he's so much more effective.
Yeah, he's killing units actually here rather than SCVs, which is always a great choice. But the problem is he's totally out of position at his 3rd. he's going to lose this if Alive targets it. So far, he has not. And oh well, he's going to get a Colossus instead.
Wow, completely out of position, and now Alive is trying to stim his way through. Another Colossus is being attacked, but this time Tier is ready with the rest of the army. Forces Alive back, who by now dealt with he dealt with a DT, didn't he?
Yeah, all the DTs are gone now.
How many SCVs did Tier kill? 7 additional ones.
And he killed a lot of army units as well. So I think it was a pretty good trade for him overall, plus all the distraction that happened to Alive. And Alive, even though he killed that Colossus, he failed to kill the Nexus here. So the economy of Tier is excellent still. He's had it for so much longer, and he's caught up with the upgrades. Like you said, he didn't start 2-2 immediately.
He warped in a few Stalkers to intercept one of those Medivacs that was just heading to the bottom. And there we go. Boom. Medivac is gone.
Meanwhile, he has to warp in some units that have been the drops. He can still use DTs for defense, and he warps one in here.
Yeah, one DT, the rest Stalkers. Another warp in. No problem for Tier.
Great defense there. DTs are so useful. In fact, I'd say they're one of the most underused units in this matchup. Maybe next to the carrier, I guess.
Nice blink here. Both Medivacs die, and Alive needs to be really careful.
He's
going
gonna
to
crumple
third base. This is tricky, to say the least.
He's now, if he loses this orbital, which he likely will, his economy is so crippled he doesn't have another orbital.
There are no Vikings. He just doesn't have anything to deal with this.
Yeah, he's only got one, and he actually pulls back.
It's also the timing that hits him. He will be on +2/+2 before Alive is.
This is a position where Alive probably will not be able to recover. Even if Alive somehow survives here, he will lose too much.
And he moves in. The upgrade, the first +2 upgrade is done. He's on +2 attack right now, has an upgrade advantage over his opponent. 35 additional supply. A lift force on the natural. Alive back into a corner, and Tier is on the hunt.
He's on the hunt. The SCVs are going to that secret spot over there, but it's no secret that he has no escape. He's actually going to be in a corner in between a rock and a Colossus.
Oh, if the Colossus is able to take down this entire bunch of SCVs and units, this is exactly what's going to happen right now. This is the worst case scenario. Everything is spawning apart for Alive. He's dropping in supply so fast, down to 80 against 144. The first two Vikings trying to do some damage, but nice micro by Tier. He is going to take this game.
He certainly is. He blinks up into the high ground, takes out the rest of the units of Manor Nexus. A second one has been planted, a third one. GG!
GG indeed. Tier wins the game. Fnatic once again has to catch up. Rain and Alive were both able to take one map, but now it is up to Bial and Oz.
Well-deserved high fives, and we talked about this before. What type of wildcard was he going to be? He actually just played pretty straight up. I mean, he did some harassment. He made a Dark Shrine. A lot of people do not do that in this matchup, but he did it. Executed his harassment well, got ahead as a result. I think a very important moment was the moment when the Nexus was not sniped. And then he lost a lot of units in those medevacs. He was so good about chasing those down with the Stalkers. That was when Alive became really behind and did not have enough units to hold his third, even hold his natural.
And right now, who do you send out? Is it going to be Bial? Or is it going to be Oz? I mean, if you want to avoid the mirror match, of course, it has to be Bial here.
I think it's going to be Bial.
Would be a good choice.
They like to send Oz out last as well. That's something they've shown in the past. And I think Bial is going to be the guy.
The thing is, if Oz comes out right now and is able to take down Tier in a mirror match, then of course it has to be Lenok. I mean, that's basically, it doesn't really matter who it is because no, I think it would be Lenok. Lenok, then you only have Bial.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, I completely agree.
Yeah, so at this point, what we would expect is Bial to be sent out against a Protoss player. That would make the most sense. But well, we'll find out. So if it's actually Bial, then what map would you choose? I mean, at this point in time, with Bial being on the match,
maybe he picks Abyssal City. I would say. You know, Whirlwind is another map he could potentially choose, but. And he sits in the position. It's him.
It is Bial. Yeah, Bial in the next player. Therefore, we have a Zerg versus Protoss now here at the GSTL.
You know, this is it's so simple to predict who's going to come out next when you have such a small lineup of players on the bench, and that's why we've been able to get, if I'm not mistaken, every prediction right so far. And I'm sure you guys at home are probably thinking the same things as we are, as well as what Juani's thinking right now, is because their lineup is so thin. BL needs a win here.
They are very limited in their options. This is so true. And Bjal is now up against Tier. Tier with a good job against Alive. Now once again it's the strong Zerg player in the Fnatic roster that has to come through for his team. And guys, before we head into the next match, before we find out if Fnatic can once again tie this series, we are of course heading in another break, in another 5-minute break, and then we will be back at the GSTL with Fnatic Great Call against FXOpen. Stay tuned, we'll be back in 5.
If someone else could handle me, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be. You're the